A few weeks ago, my sister started a conversation with me about her Native American literature class. She told me about a story she had to read about 3 young men and their fascination with the stories of their past. They are part of the Spokane Indian Reservation and come from a long line of tradition. Tradition in many Native American cultures includes mythic stories of courageous men and women fighting to keep their traditions and culture alive. These 3 young men find the myth within themselves and all want to be warriors and great men. However, most of the time, these fantasies are played out by way of hallucinogens. The story immediately reminded me of the mythic worldview and how these boys are likely living partially in the mythic mindset. Ford states in his book, the mythic mind is one in which direction is given by landmarks, rather than with a global positioning system and an abstract grid of longitude and latitude. Ford shows that life in the mythic world doesn't give you an exact location. In Sherman Alexi's novel, The Lone Ranger and Tonto, Fist Fight in Heaven, the group of men don't have a particular destination. They take the drugs and just see where it takes them. In the chapter A Drug Called Tradition, the boys sit in a car and imagine that they are different representations of the great crazy horse. They take turns taking a hallucinogen and see each other in manifestations of old stories from their ancestors. One man sees the other as a horse dealer who whispers to the horse and saves his life from the blind white man that owns him. Another sees him dancing naked, trying to get rid of a fevered plague that has been given to him by a smallpox blanket. Here they are literally living out the myth in different ways while under the influence of drugs. Even though they aren't actually doing those things, their minds are manifesting the stories. And the myth the boys follow is also universal to those who can relate to it. Almost all Native American Indians have some tie to Crazy Horse or other warriors that fought to save tradition and culture against the invaders. And many of them want to identify themselves as warriors in one way or another. They may not realize why they want to be a warrior, or they might know why, but they are still living partially in a story of the saving power of Crazy Horse and all that he tried to do for his people. These men stay within the myth because they don't question the need to save their traditions and culture. The white people are still trying to decrease their culture and funding for reservations. Their territory is in high demand, and many are just giving in and selling their land. These young men, on the other hand, continue to live within this myth and see them as encroachers. They continue to destroy their culture and invade their land, and after even recent issues on reservations being put up to U.S. government regulation and skepticism, Alexi shows a valid point on how this myth is so easy to fall into. Another sign of myth from Ford's book is that nature is at the same time both immediately in front of us and a manifestation of something else. It is at once real and significant. Alexi describes time and life as a skeleton following a person. They keep your time and sometimes tell you to stop for a rest or manifest as your best friend, but they always follow you or walk in front of you, keeping you in time. In this statement, he shows a connection to nature and how life leads us where it wants to. It lends itself to both the statement made by Ford and the mythic worldview's traits of blindly following a path that may not completely be set in stone yet. Overall, the short stories of Alexi seem to lean toward the mythic worldview as a dominant force in his characters' lives, most likely due to their origin and tradition that in many Native American cultures is passed down by stories from grandparents to parents to child over and over again.